Ladies and gentlemen, from New York City, Joe Garagiola.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan Calder. Hey, first up today is a chef who once cooked for Queen Elizabeth, and he's whipped up some goodies for our panel, and I'm going to get them out here because they love to eat, and if I don't get them out, they'll trample me. Here they come.
Here is Bill Cullen. Peggy Cass. Dick Clark. And Kitty Carlisle.
Kitty, can I ask you a question?
What's that?
Was my hand cold when I touched your back?
Yes, it was.
You know why I worry about that? When I go to barbershop, they always run the clipper over my head, and when that clipper is cold, I mean it is cold on your head. It really is, and I don't like it.
What do they do that for old time's sake? I mean, what do they run the clipper up there for? Oh, Texas chicken.
Terribly amusing thing. Okay, well, hey, as you noticed, our first guest here now, he's prepared some special food for you today. You got it right in front of you. And I want you to take a good look at it because we're going to meet him right now.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Stuart Cumming.
Number two.
My name is Stuart Cumming.
And number three.
My name is Stuart Cumming.
All right, panel, you can just go right ahead and you start eating, and I'll read all about Stuart Cumming. I, Stuart Cumming, am a professional chef. I'm also a Scotsman. So it's only natural that I cook with spirit. And it won't surprise you to learn that the spirit is Scotch. My culinary credentials include the facts that I'm the son of a chef, apprenticed 2 seasons at Maxime's, the famed Parisian restaurant, have owned my own restaurants, and am a director of the prestigious cooking school, the Culinary Institute of America. I also had the great honor of preparing duck à l'orange for Her Highness Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Of course, the duck contains spirits. The panel is presently enjoying my recipe for Texas chili with Scotch. Texas chili with Scotch. And for dessert, Scotch trifle. With, of course, more Scotch. I'm currently on a nationwide tour to convert housewives and other cooks to my culinary philosophy. Signed, Stuart Cumming. Well, our panel will enjoy Chef Cummings' chili, and we'll listen to these great words, okay?
Well, if my check is $100, I get back 20. If my check is $300, I get back 60. If it's $600, I get back $120.
Introducing a special invitation from Dining a la Carte, a 2-month trial membership for free.
Dining a la carte is earning extra money.
Just for eating out.
Dining a la carte works with your credit cards. There are no embarrassing coupons and no restaurant blackout periods.
I love the amount of money that I've saved with dining a la carte. I've saved well over $1,000.
Just dine at participating restaurants. In about 30 days, you'll receive a rebate check that equals 20% of your total restaurant charges, including tax and tips.
Dining a la carte is a good thing for people who like to go out for dinners and like to save money.
And here's your special invitation. Call right now and get a 2-month trial membership for free.
Poor Joe. I'll bet life is no fun since he can't get around anymore.
It's a shame about Joe, but what about Marge? Now he's totally dependent on her. She's gone from wife to caregiver.
They obviously haven't heard that Joe got a Rascal from Electric Mobility. With a Rascal, you can shop, visit friends, and enjoy the great outdoors. The unique take-apart frame makes the Rascal easy to transport in your car or van. Rascals are made in America and built to last. They're comfortable, too, with easy-to-use, just one-hand controls. If it doesn't say rascal, it isn't. When I recommended a rascal, it was for transportation. I had no idea how much it would improve Marge and Joe's lives.
There's more fun with a rascal.
Call 1-800-909-7766 now for a free, no-obligation, in-home rascal demonstration. That's 1-800-909-7766. Call now.
Betty White. How can one woman appear on so many game shows? The only possible answer is that there are actually hundreds of Betty Whites. Sure, they all look and sound like the original Betty White, but they're actually high-tech Betty White robots. Perhaps you've noticed a strange twitch or a split-second mechanical error. Close friends say this is the only way you can tell them apart. So the next time you see Betty White on Game Show Network, look closely, because you shouldn't believe everything you see on TV.
Okay, panel, remember, these three gentlemen all claim to be Stuart Cumming, who once cooked for Queen Elizabeth. And Bill Cullen, we're going to start with you if we can get you to stop eating.
This is the best looking and thus far best tasting chili I have ever seen in my life. I mean that, and I really mean it. Number one, the scotch that is in this chili, has the alcohol been cooked out of it? I mean...
Yes, it has.
Then I can eat it, okay. Now, how about, excuse me, number two, do you go along the alcohol has been cooked out of the scotch?
Yes, I do, certainly.
Number three, do you use a particular kind of flour in making your chili? There's usually some wheat thing that they throw in chili.
Bologna.
No, they don't throw bologna in chili. That's Boston chili. No, isn't there some stuff that you throw in the chili to give it its texture, number three?
No, just normal flour.
No, you use normal flours. And number one, what's the difference between your chili and Texas chili?
Well, Texas chili doesn't have scotch.
Bourbon, number one. Is that the idea?
Scotch.
Number two, there are two schools of chili. Those who think the meat should be cut finely and those who think it should be ground. I assume from this that you are of the ground meat school. Is that correct?
That is quite correct, yes.
And number two, you also put...
Well, let's go to Peggy Cass.
Number two, do you put flour in chili?
Yes.
And number one, do you?
I do.
No wonder my chili doesn't come out right.
She puts bologna in it.
I've heard enough of you. Number three, it says that you worked at Maxime's in Paris. Who is the owner of Maxime's?
I don't know. It's 20 years ago. I don't know who the owner is now.
Oh. And number two, when you make duck à l'orange, which I guess is Canneton Bigarade, right? Oh. You don't use, you use scotch in that rather than what the ordinary ingredient is?
Yes, I use scotch.
As a substitute for what?
Oh, or Grand Marnier or cognac.
Thank you. Number one, now, all kidding aside, what's the recipe for this chili?
Well,
America would like to know that.
We use coriander as spice and bay leaf.
That's not a recipe.
Ground beef.
Oh, you'll write it out for me later.
I certainly will.
That's great.
Let's go to Dick Clark.
You said you worked number one for the Queen. Does that put an unnecessary imposition on you as a creator? Does it make you nervous?
Well, it certainly does. I didn't work for the Queen. I was in the Royal Air Force, and while the Queen visited the station that I was stationed at, I was asked to prepare a meal for her.
All right. Number two, did anybody ever send anything back to the kitchen that you prepared?
Oh, yes.
I've often been scared to death to send anything back for fear of what you fellas would do to it when you send it back to the table. What is your reaction, number three, creatively, if somebody sends something back? Are you mad?
No, it's got to be correct for the customer. The customer is right.
All right. Number two, please. Do you use any other booze other than scotch in your cooking?
Well, once in a while we drop wine in it too, along with the scotch, of course.
Could you tell me, number one, please, what is trifle?
Trifle is a Scottish dish. It is made with fruit, fresh fruit. I use fresh fruit. You can use any kind. It's made with stale pound cake. It's made with fresh cream and custard.
This recipe number two.
Okay, let's go to Kitty.
Well, this is all very fascinating, but number one, why do you use scotch in your cooking?
Well...
No, number two. Excuse me.
I tell you, I like to use it because it helps cut the sweetness. It'll cut the sweetness in dessert, also in your soups and sauces.
Well, number three, isn't this very unusual? I mean, wouldn't brandy cut or white wine like most people use in their cooking?
Brandy would be as good. There is other spirits which can be used, the same as scotch, but it's cheaper than using wine.
Number one, is there any reason, are you advertising anything by using Scotch?
Only that Scotch is very good ingredient for cooking. It has a particular smoky flavor of its own.
Number two, where did you cook for the Queen, and what did you cook for her?
Well, I cooked duck à l'orange while I was in the Royal Air Force Station.
And what else did you cook?
Well, I've cooked, we did a lot of buffets. We cooked for the Henry Regatta. We cooked for many times for the Queen.
Oh, and number three, what do you do to make your buffets look especially beautiful? Do you decorate them yourself?
Yes.
What do you use? Flowers? What?
No, it can be just the tartan back cloth and the different colored fruits. There could be flowers. There could be many things.
Thank you.
And lots of scotch. Always lots of scotch. Helps the buffet look good. Hey, it's time to vote. They must mark their ballots. Do you think it's number 1? Or do you think it is number 2? Or do you think it is number 3? Okay, the votes, they're all been marked. Bill Cullen, you got us started. How did you vote?
Yeah, in spite of the fact that number 3 came up with a great Scottish reason. Someone said, why Scotch instead of wine? He said it's cheaper. That was very impressive. But I sort of went along with number 2. He seems the most real, and I like the idea of throwing... I used to only put Scotch in one thing when I cook. Meat.
Peggy. Well, I believe in cooking with whiskey. I always put vodka in my meatloaf. It makes it really good. I do. I voted for 1 because he said he put coriander in the chili, and coriander is indeed put into chili.
Okay. Dick Clark.
We're going to have a divided thing here. I like number 2 because he looks like a chef. He's got the whole outfit on. But then all of a sudden, I switched and picked number 3 because he really sounded like he knew the secrets.
Okay, so Kitty, you're going to have to be the tiebreaker.
Well, I voted for number 2 only because he said very sort of offhandedly, oh, we've done a lot of buffets and things for the Henley Regatta, and it just sounded sort of real.
Okay, sounded so real. So the votes are all in. Will the real Stuart Cumming please stand up? All right, let's find out who the imposters are right now. Number 1, what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Mackenzie Grant, and I'm the General Manager for Allied Aviation Services at Kennedy Airport.
Aha. Okay. Number 3, what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Fergus McClarty, and I'm the Recording Secretary of the St. Andrew Society for the State of New York.
Stuart, let me ask you, did you just discover Scotch is good in cooking by accident, or was it a planned kind of thing?
No, I've done it all my life, actually. Even when I worked in Maxim's, they used Scotch in a lobster casserole dish, and that was back in the early 50s, and I've used it, and of course I've ran Scottish restaurants and owned them all my life since then.
Did you cook for the Queen regularly?
Well, I was in the Royal Air Force, and I was in the Queen's flight. It's like the President's planes, and I was on her station.
Now I want to ask you the question. They always say that royalty is like Grand Orange or all. Did she ever want a cheeseburger and a hot chocolate or something like that? You ever cook something like that?
She's not one on cheeseburgers. She doesn't like greasy foods particularly. So most of the time when we cook for her, it was on a buffet or a banquet occasion.
She doesn't know what she's missing. You tell her. Okay. Thank you, Stuart Cumming. Thank you to the 2 imposters for playing To Tell the Truth. Well, I'm sure you've heard it because it's been said that one who knows no fear is a fool. Well, in a moment, we're going to meet a man who knows a great deal about the common fears that plague all of us. But first, I'll tell you what, we got some commercials. They might scare you, too.
One loan, one payment each month, and nothing more.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
If you're like most homeowners, you're paying a mortgage, several credit cards, and an auto loan each month. That's why the Money Store introduced the combo loan. With a combo loan from the Money Store, you can refinance your mortgage and consolidate your bills. You'll have one loan, one payment, and write just one check each month.
Plus, the interest can be tax deductible.
One loan, one payment with a combo loan from the Money Store. Call 1-800-LOAN-YES.
You've spent your entire life sleeping in an old-fashioned flat bed. But now you have the opportunity to find out about a better, healthier way to relax and sleep. Get this free information kit about Craftmatic adjustable beds. Call toll-free and a helpful operator will mail you a free Craftmatic adjustable bed catalog and this special rebate certificate. It's worth $200 off any Craftmatic Model 1 adjustable bed. Why is Craftmatic making this rebate offer? It's our way of saying thanks for taking the time to find out about Craftmatic. There is, of course, absolutely no obligation for calling toll-free and requesting this helpful information kit. So if you have any interest in adjustable beds, pick up your phone and call now.
Call toll-free 1-800-249-1900. That's 1-800-249-1900. Toll-free 1-800-249-1900.
Oh, baby. Oh.
Trying to meet someone interesting.
And here they are.
Not quite sure how to go about it? Chances are good you might not want to bring him home to mom.
Aye, beautiful.
Till he's passed some tests.
Hurry, hurry, folks. Here he is, the most sensuous, sexy, lovable thing you've seen on Earth.
Learn the questions to ask on the dating game.
What are the spaces between your teeth good for?
Well, at least get some good entertainment out of it.
Hey, I like that.
The dating game, weeknights, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Only on Game Show Network.
Now let's meet an authority on fear.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
I am Herbert Fensterheim.
Number 2.
My name is Herbert Fensterheim.
And number 3.
My name is Herbert Fensterheim.
Listen carefully to Herbert Fensterheim's paragraphs on phobias. I, Herbert Fensterheim, claim you have nothing to fear but fear itself. My book, written with my wife, Jean Baird, titled Stop Running Scared, can help you conquer your fears, phobias, and anxieties. Fears of thunderstorms, rejection, insects, sex, even cats. Perhaps the most common fear is the fear of panic attacks, a condition under which people are even afraid to go out of their own homes. The essence of my fear control training is this. Since you learned to be afraid in the first place, you can unlearn your fears too. I know whereof I speak. Currently a clinical associate professor of psychology and psychiatry at a major medical college, I am the same person who was once scared of dogs, heights, and listen to this, Joe, I was even frightened of baseballs. Signed, Dr. Herbert Fensterheim. I tell you the real doctor, I was so afraid of baseball, I wouldn't even hit it. But let's begin with Kitty.
Thank you. Number 1 is not, for instance, fear of a flying baseball or something that's going to hit you and harm you. Isn't that a commonsensical fear? Should one learn to overcome it?
Yes, it can be learned to be overcome, but it's a learned experience.
But I mean, why do you have to learn to overcome all fear? Number 2, it seems to me that animals have reasonable, natural fears that preserve their life at times.
In natural fears, yes. Some of us develop phobias, however, which...
You're talking about really phobias.
Well,
I see.
Different measures.
Yeah. Number 3, how do you overcome the fear of rejection? That's my big problem.
There are a number of good methods. One of them is to take the scenes you're afraid of and practice not being frightened in those situations.
Yeah, but when it happens, I'm not only frightened, I cry a lot, too.
It's an extreme reaction, but that could be overcome. You've learned to react that way. You could learn not to react that way.
You could, really?
Absolutely.
Would you have classes?
There are classes, or you could learn with individual instruction.
Thank you. Number 1, where can I buy your book?
Well, you can buy it in any bookstore shortly. It's being published by Rawson.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Bill Cullen.
Number 1, as a medical man, why is that kind of fear usually accompanied by shortness of breath?
I'm not a medical man, I'm a psychologist, sir.
Okay, as a psychologist then, number 1, why is that sort of fear usually accompanied by a shortness of breath?
Well, there may be some malfunctions of your physical condition, and before we attempt any fear control training, we resort to a consultation with a medical man to see that the chemistries are in balance.
Number 3, fear is being fought by analysts and by hypnotists. We hear a lot about that. is this the first book that is supposedly a cure or a relief for this kind of phobia or extreme fear?
The first book for the general public. There's been a lot of experimental work in the professional literature and a lot of technical books on the subject.
Number 2, then.
Let's move to Peggy Cass.
Number 3, you said one could overcome one's fear of rejection that Kitty brought up. Well, I mean, do you think anybody's ever going to smile and be happy if some other person says, you're going to say if some guy tells you he's through, I'm so glad you don't love me anymore. That's really wonderful. I mean, you know, it's just only a jerk could do that. Number 3, I'm talking to you. Don't you reject me. None of rejection.
A lot of these fears are appropriate. The point is to keep them in perspective and to have the feeling that you're on top of them all the time.
It's very hard. I mean, for size, it's almost unreasonable to be able to conquer some things. Like, I'm scared to death of rats, and you could tell me the rat is my friend, and I'd tell you you are nuts.
That's right. Logical argument doesn't overcome fears. You have to learn to respond
differently. Give me a logical argument in favor of rats.
I wouldn't even try.
I'm right about being afraid of rats, too. Am I not?
As long as it doesn't give you a bad feeling about yourself. Rats are not important when you live in the kind of way we live.
Well, you mean I'd have a bad feeling about myself because I didn't like a rat?
Sure. Many people feel bad about themselves when some of the feelings get out of their control.
Well, anybody who's wasting time being neurotic about a rat is wasting his time.
Yeah.
You got to find a new neighborhood, that's all.
How do you really feel, Peggy? Dick Clark.
I didn't realize I was between two such strange women. This is lovely lady who's rejected, and she's afraid of... Yeah, when was the last time you saw a rat?
Oh, when I was about 6.
All right. Number 2, what is the weirdest thing people are afraid of?
Weirdest.
Far out.
Agoraphobia, I think, would be...
and what is that, sir?
That is being afraid of panic.
All right, number 1. I'm producing a picture called The Dark, and it's all based on fear of the dark. Is that a common fear?
Yes, it is.
Is it number 2?
Yes, it is.
Number 3, is it?
Yes, especially amongst children.
What, are women more afraid of silly things than men, number 2?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
I'm not
You'd
starting
have to
out...
qualify. You'd have to qualify.
Right.
Silly.
Well, I mean, would you find most men afraid of rats, number 1?
No.
Unless they've experienced something in their childhood which has to be desensitized.
Let's survey the rats. Number 2, men or women, are they all... Oh,
We're never going to get that survey done. Okay, because they must vote. They must mark their ballots. Now, do you think it is number 1? Or do you think it is number 2? Or do you think it is number 3? $50 for each incorrect vote, $500 if all the votes are wrong. And Kitty, you got us started. How did you vote?
Well, I didn't vote for number 1 right off. Number 2 said that agoraphobia was fear of panic, and it's fear of large, open spaces. And number 3, I think you could cure my fears. You seem so kind and nice, and you wouldn't reject me.
Look at him smiling like it's the truth. Look at him. That's a happy face right there. Okay, Bill Cullen.
I don't think Peggy should worry about rats because she saw one when she was 6, and that rat's been dead a long time. That'll do.
As soon as she hits you, be another rat dead. Peggy.
I voted for number 3 because number 1 said men aren't afraid of rats. Why should they be? They are rats.
Okay, Dick Clark.
The thing I love here is not the reveal of who is the real one, but if number 3 is not the guy, I want to know what he is, because he ought to write a book, and he ought to help people.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, looky here. It is unanimous, and that means, well, let's ask the question. You know the rules. Will the real Dr. Herbert Fensterheim please stand up? They got him. All right. Let's find out about the imposters. Number 1, what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Sheldon Stecker. I'm a fabric salesman for Marcus Brothers Textile in New York.
And he brought his staff with him. I heard the applause early. Okay, number 2, what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Bob Schladorn. I'm with the Personnel Department at New York Telephone.
Well, we enjoyed it. Dr. Fensterheim, we thank you, and we thank you, our 2 imposters, for playing To Tell the Truth. Thank you very much.
Introducing Plus White Plus Peroxide toothpaste. You'll get whiter teeth plus the benefits of peroxide. Plus White Plus Peroxide. There's no white like Plus White.
Want to go curly and add fullness to your hair? Now you can with Wash and Curl shampoo. Its curl enhancers work right in the shower. Your hair will look full and beautiful. Wash and Curl, the curling shampoo.
If you have wrinkles and puffiness under your eyes, I recommend Sudden Change Under Eye. Look, before sudden change and after. Sudden Change Under Eye.
It's over here in a jar. It's over there in the car, in a drawer, on the floor. So where's your loose change? Well, it's time to cash in with Easy Money, the amazing coin machine that sorts, stacks, counts, and loads coin wrappers in just seconds. Just turn it on, then drop in a handful of loose change and watch. The wheel spins and separates each coin. Then they're launched down the tube where they're sorted. Each coin drops into its own removable tube where it's stacked and counted. And when you place a coin wrapper in the bank, it's automatically filled with the correct amount of coins. When it's done, they pop out in their neat stacks. You're left with wrapped piles of money. And with the handy AC adapter jack, you'll never need to buy batteries again. So what are you waiting for? It's Easy Money, and it's only $19.95. It'll pay for itself the very first time you fill it up. Easy Money, it makes perfect sense.
To order Easy Money, call 1-800-203-1919 or send a check to the address on your screen. Order Easy Money. It makes perfect sense.
Your television is starting a brand new career on Game Show Network. Discover jobs you never knew existed. And jobs you could only dream of.
Well, when it's worn, does a lot of skin show? I think when it's worn, a lot of skin shows, don't you?
See celebrities before they got really sweet film deals.
Are you part of the entertainment world?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oui, monsieur. Oh, yeah. And get in on the games as guests try to stump the panel.
You know, I have a delicious feeling all over me that I know who this is. Well, it was a rousing reception. Is this a beautiful woman?
That would be one down and 9 to go. Get in on What's My Line? Weeknights on Prime Games, 10:20-ish Eastern, 7:20-ish Pacific.
Okay, we were talking about fears, and now I have a fear of heights. Now, we know that Kitty fears rejection and Peggy fears rats. How about you, Dick? You got a fear?
I was just telling Peggy, I really finally realized I got one fear, and that's fear of forgetting the script. Now, I haven't had to learn lines in 30 years, but I keep waking up thinking, they never showed me the script, and I won't know what to say.
Fear of forgetting lines. How about you, Bill?
I honestly have a fear of bees, bumble-type bees, stinging bees. I've never been stung in my life, but if one comes in the room, I'm like Peggy about the rats. I go, ape. I'm also afraid of apes. I mean, it's...
You heard it here. So long, everybody.
Our central character today will receive Seabrick wall covering ads. Cut a character in charge of your home. Fireproof, inexpensive Seabrick, America's most popular brick wall covering. From Tally Industries, a new easy-to-read digital dial-light by West Clocks. Compact design, accurate front set time and alarm from West Clocks. This is Alan Cawthor speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
There's more To Tell the Truth next, as Gary Moore takes over the search for the imposters. Stay with us on Game Show Network. You're watching Game Show Network.
Unusual people who say they can do some pretty unusual things. They challenge host Joe Garagiola, a panel of celebrities, and you to try to guess if you can take their word for it. Who's bluffing and who's telling the truth? Play along with the stars and enjoy the fun and surprises as contestants demonstrate their remarkable talents, sometimes inviting the celebrities to join in. Watch To Tell the Truth, weeknights at 7 on Channel 7.
Talks about To Tell the Truth.
We had some very funny moments. We had 3 people on who were supposed to be decoy cops. And when the reveal came, Gary Moore said, will the real decoy cop please stand up? No! And the second one, he said, well, number 2, will you please stand up and say, what do you do?
My name is Chris Hart, and my mother is the charming panelist, Kitty Carlisle.
Get in on the fun. Watch Game Show Network.
1 and a 2 and a 3.
What's the only show on television where it pays to be a liar?
That actually hasn't been documented.
Sure it has. It's To Tell the Truth with Gary Moore, the most charming of all game show hosts.
I'm quite impressed.
Here's how it works. 3 contestants claim to be the same person, and then a celebrity panel tries to figure out which is telling the truth.
That was a game we played in Pittsburgh, honest.
Well, now it's played every day on Game Show Network. Don't miss To Tell the Truth, where honesty is not always the best.